Hello, people. I'm Detroit Miracle indeed. What's up, people? So, how many of you out there have watched comedy related material? It could be stand up, it could be series on TV, it could be just being humorous about and out. Like somewhere, maybe you walk into some dudes capping on one another and you stand and watch and listen because it's funny. You can't walk away. Like you be thinking like those dudes got good stand up careers. Like they should make it professional and go start making money. But whatever comedy that you were attracted to, like TV comedy, movie comedy, stand up comedy, how many of you out there actually enjoy comedy growing up? And how many of you out there also have famous comedic actors and actresses? Yeah, who are your favorites out there in all comedy related subject matter? And I mean the most famous people that you could think of in comedy that built their careers off of fame. It might be somebody like Jim Carrey, Steve Harvey, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor. It could be any one of them and more. Because it's endless great comedians and comic related personalities out there rather. I could tell jokes all day at work and have them dying laughing. So I'm sure others have that ability as well. Yeah. And I know people are saying, well, Detroit Miracle, those people at work are going to laugh at anything you say because they're probably your friends. They'll go along with it because they don't want to hurt your feelings. No, if those dudes hear something funny, and she, because it's a woman too involved in a work crew situation, if they heard something not funny, they wouldn't laugh at it. Yeah, because when you say anything, they're not going to laugh at it. And me, I don't indicate that I'm about to tell a joke before I tell one. I don't give them a heads up. And I keep the same expressions. So they didn't laugh at things I said. They really laughed at the funnier things or funniest things I said. So that would mean I'm a funny guy too. When I want to be funny, right? Yeah, but I'm getting to the point with this whole story. How many of you think that your favorite comedians were at their most famous funny as far as being at their best of being funny when they were at their poorest and struggling periods? How many of you think that they became least funny once they became rich, famous, popular, mega mansions, worldwide tours, TV series, game shows, films, and etc.? How many of you think that once your famous favorite comedians achieved and obtained that ultimate fame, that somehow they weren't quite as funny as they once were previously? I can use examples like, let's say Richard Pryor was funny in his late 1970s, early 80s films, and he was at his funniest in stand-up during that period from the 70s heading into the early 1980s. But as he got to the later 1980s into the 90s, he didn't seem as funny as he once was. I know people will say, well, he gets old, he's gotten old, and yeah, I'll buy that, but in his body of film work, if you watch some of the stuff that he did, it wasn't quite as funny, and because he could still write funny jokes. Then if he say it, it's still going to be funny. He was funny in that movie where he played the blind guy and his friend played a deaf guy. Like I think that he was funny in that, and his boy was funny too, Gene Wilder. But other than that, his Richard Pryor's latest film projects, he didn't quite seem as funny as he was in the early 80s. He was even very funny in Superman 3. Like, look at all his comedic scenes and the funny stuff and crazy stuff he did. That was incredibly funny. So I think they got it right by having Richard Pryor playing that movie. It's just that they didn't do enough with Superman. Like they could have added more super villains for him to fight in that film. Like they could have had it like Lex Luthor sent a robotic warrior after him and Superman had to deal with that. They could have had it like it was periodic stuff in that film where he had to run off the dude to tend to. But they had it like his primary antagonist was that billionaire industrialist guy. I think if they would have added another like that component with more action, then that film would have been funnier and it would have been much better because yeah, it would have extended the scenes, it would have extended the scope of the film and the genre. The film would have got more admirers to recognize that it was funny, serious, and action-packed in an epic way. So, but, you know, that ain't the moral to the story. It is about comedians that seem to be at their least amount of wit and humor at a particular time in their career once they've obtained all of that incredible fame abundantly. They don't quite seem as funny to me as they once did before. Yeah. Hey, even Jerry Springer was funny through the first 6, 7, 8 seasons, like with all the stuff that went on in that show and around it. But once he started breaking the fights up